And I just wondered, why do we do these yoga meditations? What does it, what's the benefit of it, or what is purpose?
If I were to ask you all now, how many people here understand that everything you experience is made out of something that is luminous, transparent, empty, knowing? What would you all, how many people here would say, yes, I understand that? Yes, you nearly everyone, nearly all of you understand that. But if I were to ask you now, how many of you here feel that your body is something solid, dense, limited and located? It's okay, you don't have to put your hands up. There's no shame in this, but I expect that many of us would put our hands up and say, yes, there is a discrepancy between my understanding of the reality of my experience and the way I feel the body and perceive the world. I understand genuinely that all my experience, all thinking, feeling, imagining, sensing, perceiving is made only of empty knowing. And that understanding is genuine, it's not a belief, it's understanding. But we still feel that what we are, that our body is something not luminous, transparent, empty, spacious, loving, open, but that it is something solid, dense, limited, located, and that the world is something other than ourselves, at a distance from ourselves, made out of solid, dense, dead, inert stuff. So there is this discrepancy between our genuine understanding and the way we feel the body and perceive the world. And the yoga meditations that we do, the purpose of the yoga meditations that we do in the morning is to collapse that discrepancy. The reason the yoga meditations, I would be very happy if anyone ever came up with a term that was a better term. It's not a particularly good term, but it's just a term that evolved in the early days to distinguish between the meditations whose purpose is to turn away from our thoughts, our sensations and our perceptions and focus on the essential nature of our self. That's what I call the inward-facing part. These are, they could be called self-investigation meditations or self-inquiry meditations. It's the Vedantic approach. So in that approach, we're not paying any attention to objective experience. Whereas in these yoga meditations, although, for instance, this morning, we started by tracing our way back to the emptiness behind the emptiness and fullness of experience. So that was we started off on the inward-facing path, but fairly quickly we turned round and faced the experience of the body in an attempt to reconcile our understanding with the way we feel the body. So there are these two types of meditation. I call them the inward-facing path and the outward-facing path.
Thank you. I really have heard you say that before. I guess I wasn't thinking about it.
Yes, and the fact that you said there was intense emotion, intense feeling, when I mentioned something this morning about, was it bringing your feelings close, or about the longing? Yes, you see, for a lot of us, the body is a kind of repository for stored feelings that are often laid down early on in childhood, experiences that were too intense, too traumatic to face, but which at the time we did not have the means of processing, so we just buried them in our body. The feelings of being abandoned or abused in some way, and these feelings have been buried and stored in the body. And although we may not be conscious of them anymore, they still dictate from behind the scenes, as it were, our thoughts and feelings and our subsequent activities and relationships. So the first thing that one of the first things that these yoga meditations do is to provoke these buried, dormant feelings. Many of you are familiar with the analogy that I sometimes give, which I borrowed from Darfree John, of the well, a deep well full of water, and the sun, which traverses the sky, and at noon, for a brief period of time every day, the sun is shining directly down the shaft of the well. And at that time, all the creepy crawlies that are dormant at the bottom of the well wake up and begin to bubble up to the surface, and then the sun proceeds across the sky and they fall asleep again and go back down to the bottom. Well, these stored layers of feeling are like the creepy crawlies at the bottom of the well that have gone to sleep because they haven't seen the light of awareness for years. So in our awareness would be like the sun that is not just passing temporarily over the top of this well of feelings, but we leave the sun of awareness shining down this well of feelings. And the first thing that happens very often is that the feelings are provoked. So far from being a peaceful experience, it is sometimes the reawakening of old buried feelings. Can be quite, sometimes it can be very, very intense. And you shouldn't feel, if this happens, that this is a failure of your meditation because you're actually becoming more agitated than you were previously. On the contrary, it means your meditation is working.
So my experience has been that there's a very intense force or movement towards kind of what we're speaking about here, towards knowing the knower. And yet at the same time, when I have a really deep realization or a revelation of sorts, every single time I notice that there is another force that is blocking me or seemingly preventing me from that direct experience. And it's kind of felt in the body as sort of this like dammed up energy. It feels overwhelming and I can't even get close to it. It's seemingly blocking me from that direct experience. There's only been very few times where I've been able to kind of get there, beyond it, or through it. I don't know what it is. I haven't encountered anyone else who has this type of experience. And I'm wondering if you could speak to what that might be to help me do something about it.
And this blockage in you, it specifically feels like fear?
No, it doesn't specifically feel like fear. It feels like fear is the emotion that goes along with it after it is noticed. It just feels like an intense, I can't describe it beyond, it just feels like some sort of energy that is kind of dammed up. There is something with a lot of power inside of me that when I become fully present, that it would just tear me apart or something like that.
This density, this intensity and density in the body sounds like an unexplored realm of your experience. And because it's unexplored, it feels dark. The light of awareness hasn't been able to penetrate it, so it feels dark and dense and impenetrable. So you have to bring the light of awareness to it. You have to, instead of feeling this is unbearable, it's going to tear me apart. You said great fear arises when you touch this experience. You're afraid of it. You feel that it's going to tear me apart. You're afraid of it. You don't want to go there. You said it.
No, I do want to go there.
Well, you do want to go there, but I understand you want to go there, but your fear of going there at the moment is stronger than your desire to go there. It's repulsive to you. It's dark. So you have to go there. Even if you're afraid of it, you have to go there.
I guess the question now is how.
When it appears, in whatever form it appears in the body, it's a sensation. Does it have images associated with it, or memories, or is it just a raw sensation?
It's just a raw sensation.
There's no memories associated with it, no images that accompany it?
No.
No, okay, so it's a raw sensation. So you just feel that the sensation is, you can close your eye because it's nothing to do with your visual perceptions. You close your eyes and you feel this dark knot of sensation appearing in the field of awareness. Just now, close your eyes, and let's take a neutral sensation, not this sensation that you've been describing, but just a neutral sensation, such as the sensation of your hands on the mic. Now, is it clear to you that that sensation is appearing in the field of awareness?
Yes.
And without reference to thought or memory, in other words, referring only to your current direct experience, tell us about the sensation.
There's some firmness in the microphone. It's
okay. Hold on. Good. Keep your eyes closed. Keep referring only to the sensation. You say there's some firmness there. That's a concept that you bring from the past. You know that the microphone is something solid made out of metal. So you believe that firm... Keep your eyes closed. We're doing the experiment. We're in the lab. We're not in the classroom. Yeah, you're exploring the sensation of your hand on the mic. So don't... So you say it's firm, but that immediately tells me you're referring to the past, not to your experience. The sensation may have a certain intensity to it, but without reference to thought or memory, you have no idea that it is firm. So tell us again, going more closely to the sensation, tell us about it, without referring to the past. You're a newborn child, you have no past to refer to. This is the first experience you've ever had. Tell us about it.
It's warm.
Okay. What else? Is it a sensation of something, or is it just a sensation?
It's just a sensation.
Okay. What shape is the sensation?
There's no shape.
What size is the sensation?
There's no size.
How old is the sensation?
No age.
Is the sensation either pleasant or unpleasant?
No, it's not.
If you were to touch the stuff out of which the sensation is made, how would you describe that stuff?
It's ethereal. There's no description to it.
It's ethereal, yes. There's nothing solid there. But the sensation at the same time is not nothing. There is something there that corresponds to the label sensation. But when you touch that stuff, it's nothing, it's ethereal. There's nothing solid there. Yeah? Try to be even more accurate. That's accurate, that's good. Try to be even more accurate. Touch, come closer to the stuff that the sensation is made of.
I don't know if this sounds weird, but there's no separation between me and the sensation.
Well, now you're going back into thinking. What knowledge of a me? You've conceptualized a me and the sensation. Can you find these two elements in your experience? You're quite right, there's no separation between the me and the sensation, but why even mention me without reference to the past? What knowledge of a me do you have? There is just a sensation filling.
It's hard to word, so it's as a concession to try to language
Fair
what I'm
enough.
feeling.
That's fair enough. Yes. Okay. All of these words are concessions. So you're quite right. Just come a little bit closer to this ethereal. Even calling it a sensation is to make it to describe it as a thing. It is not a thing. Try to find another word that describes the stuff it is made of, because it's not nothing.
I don't know.
Okay, I like your silence, that's fine. Okay, so next time this dark, frightening energy appears in your body, you evoke the feeling of being a newborn infant. You have no idea what it is. You have no idea that you are a self or a body or a person in a world or anything like that. These are all concepts from the past. You just close your eyes. You feel this sensation. It has a certain intensity to it, and you explore it in the same way.
Thank you.
Let's leave it there for the moment.
In this morning's meditation, there were a couple of places that were sticky for me. It felt like the knot was, especially around feelings, strong emotion feeling, the knot would get untied and then it would get gripped back. So the question is, permeating our experience with knowing the knowledge of what is. I don't want to call it a practice.
It is a kind of practice. It is something we do. But remember, when we say the purpose of these yoga meditations in the mornings is to permeate our experience with the light of pure knowing, we imply that our experience is not yet permeated by the light. So we have something here called experience, which is not yet permeated by the light of pure knowing, and our practice is to permeate it with pure knowing. So this is said as a concession, and it's a legitimate concession, but it is a concession to the one who believes that their experience is something other than the light of pure knowing, like a feeling of depression. So to such a one, the teaching makes a concession and says, okay, you have this lump, this solid, dense lump in your chest, which you call depression. Let's permeate it with the light of pure knowing. Now, in reality, all that there is to the lump in your chest is a movement of the light of pure knowing. There's no question of permeating it with the light of pure knowing, because it is already simply a modulation of that light, of that pure knowing. But the teaching makes a concession, makes different degrees of concession. And the concession that's made here is the suggestion that, yes, okay, I have this knot of feeling called depression in my chest that seems solid, dense, dark, inert. And so we are permeating it with the light of pure knowing. In time, we have to abandon that. And so yet that will feel like an effort. In time, we completely abandon that because we realize that all there is to this knot is a vibration of knowing. But when we realize that, the depression cannot stand.
So that knot, I see it as, it's like a habit. It's like the groove that we from...
Yes, but you see, when you say it's a habit, you're in thinking now. You're not actually experiencing the knot itself, because your only experience of this knot in your chest is this current experience. Unless you refer to thought, you have no knowledge of ever having had a similar experience. You have no knowledge of it being a habit. So when you talk about it as a habit, it's fine, but you're conceptualizing. You're not referring to the experience. The experience itself is just raw, present experience. And that's what we want to do. We're not thinking about the experience. We are that's why I said tasting. We want to come close. When we think about experience, we always separate ourselves from experience. You have to separate your experience to think about it or name it. We want to do the opposite. We want to come so close to the experience that we cannot give it a name, or let alone consider it pleasant or unpleasant.
So this morning, with the stronger feeling, it's hard to talk about. There was the knowing of it, and the relaxing of it, I'll say. But then the bubbling up again, and then the re-infusing of it with the knowing of it, and kind of like back and forth.
Tell us the difference between knowing and it. Between the feeling and the knowing of it. Where's the dividing line?
I was knowing that I was knowing it.
No, just tell us the difference between the feeling and the knowing of it.
Between the feeling and the knowing of it.
You said the knowing of it. You've got two things here. We've got it and knowing. Tell us the difference between them.
There's no...
There are not two things
There's
there.
no two things
There's only
there.
one thing there. What is there?
The knowing.
And if you don't separate yourself from that and look at that experience from a distance, what can you tell us about that experience? But don't think about it. Go there now. Experience that. Wait until it is your experience that all there is to what you used to call an intense emotion is knowing. And then tell us about it.
It doesn't touch.
Yeah. Is it a depression? Is it loneliness? Is it sorrow?
It's just knowing.
It's just knowing. There, right at the very heart of the experience which you once used to reject, you find the peace you were looking for.
Yeah. There was an attempt to get rid of it.
Exactly.
That's what
Yes.
I'm saying.
So we discover that depression is made out of happiness. Happiness is a synonym for pure knowing. Usually we think we have to get as far away from our depression as possible to find happiness. But we do the opposite. The happiness we seek is when we come so close to it that you can no longer separate yourself from it and observe it. So it's the collapse of the observer and the observed. We can only call it depression when we observe it. We're not observing it, we're tasting it. We've taken it so fully into ourselves, there's just this knowing, and you can't say anything about that. It has no afflictive qualities to it.
It's dissolved.
Yeah. It seems to dissolve. It doesn't dissolve because there was nothing there other than pure knowing. But as a concession, we can say it dissolves. Yeah.
Thank you.
The knowledge of the body has no role or no part to play in our recognition of our true nature. If we, awareness, want to recognize who we are, we should give ourself our attention. If we give our body our attention, or the mind our attention, or the world our attention, we will learn about the body, the mind, or the world, but we will not learn about ourselves. So the Kashmir yoga, the tantric yoga of sensation and perception, is a deep and profound and necessary exploration of the way we experience the body and the world. And it is a means by which we realign the way we feel the body and perceive the world in a way that is consistent with our knowledge that there is only a single, infinite, indivisible reality of pure consciousness or pure awareness. So that is a very valuable exploration of the body and the world. It is the means by which we realign the experience of the body and the world with this understanding. But it is not the means by which we recognize our true nature. If we want to recognize our true nature, we need to give our true nature our attention. Our true nature needs to give itself its attention, being aware of being aware. And I would suggest that all other meditation practices are preparations for this ultimate practice or non-practice of awareness, being and knowing itself alone.